Just think about this for a second. Inside you, right now, are trillions upon trillions of cells, and almost every single one has a very specific job. You've got nerve cells firing signals, muscle cells contracting, blood cells hauling oxygen. It's this incredible, bustling, microscopic city that, well, makes you you.
But here's the truly wild part. Every single one of those specialized cells, all 220 different types, they all started out from the exact same source. They all trace their origins back to one single type of master cell.
And that, right there, brings us to the hero of our story today, the stem cell. We're going to unpack the science behind these absolutely remarkable cells, their incredible power, and yeah, some of the really big questions they make us ask.
So here's our roadmap. First, we'll meet these master cells and figure out what makes them so special. Then, we'll look at their different levels of power. After that, we'll dive into how they're basically creating medicine's next frontier. And finally, we'll get into the big scientific and ethical debates they've kicked up.
All right, let's jump right in. Section 1. We're going to get to the heart of it. What is a stem cell?
Okay, so what is a stem cell really? It all boils down to two unique superpowers. First, the ability to make perfect copies of itself over and over again. And second, the ability to transform into other, more specialized types of cells.
And this shows those two jobs perfectly. On one side, you have self-renewal. Think of it like a biological photocopy machine that can just keep printing perfect copies of itself, making sure you never run out. And on the other side, you've got differentiation. This is where the stem cell decides on a career path and becomes something specific, like a muscle cell or a blood cell ready to get to work.
So that begs the question, right? Why would biology even need a cell that does these two very different things? Why is this double act so crucial for life?
Well, the numbers here are just mind-boggling. Get this, every single day, your body has to churn out about 100 billion new blood cells. 100 billion! You know why? Because your specialized red blood cells can't divide. They do their job, they get old, and they're gone. The only way to keep up with that insane demand is with stem cells, the body's ultimate repair crew that can both restock their own numbers and pump out an endless supply of new specialists.
Okay, next up, it's important to know that not all stem cells are created equal. They actually exist on a spectrum of power, or what scientists call potency. A great way to think about it is like a biological blank check. Some can be written for absolutely anything, while others are a bit more restricted. This chart breaks it down beautifully. At the very top, the absolute peak of power, you've got totipotent cells. These are the first few cells right after fertilization, and each one is so powerful it could, in theory, create a whole new person, embryo, placenta, the whole shebang. A little further down the line, they become pluripotent. Now, they can't make a whole organism anymore, but they can still become any of the 200-plus cell types in the body. And finally, you get multipotent cells. These are the specialized crews found in our adult bodies, limited to making new cells for their specific tissue, like blood or skin.
And this diagram just lays that journey out perfectly. You start with that one fertilized egg. After a few divisions, boom, you've got those all-powerful totipotent cells. A few days later, the embryo forms this little hollow ball of cells called a blastocyst, and the cells inside are now pluripotent. From there, they start committing to different futures, becoming those multipotent, tissue-specific stem cells that build all of our organs. It's a journey from having total, unlimited potential to choosing a very specialized career.
And this right here, this is the critical decision-making moment. Inside that blastocyst, the pluripotent stem cells organize themselves into three foundational layers. You've got the ectoderm, which will become our skin and nervous system, the mesoderm, which forms things like muscle, blood, and bone, and the endoderm, which builds our internal organs like the liver and pancreas. Literally every single part of you can be traced back to one of these three layers.
So, let's just boil it down to the two main types we talk about most. First, you have embryonic stem cells. These are the pluripotent, do-anything powerhouses from that very early embryo. Then you have adult stem cells. These are the multipotent specialists living inside our tissues, basically acting as a dedicated on-site repair crew for their specific neighborhood, like bone marrow or skin.
Okay, so we've covered the what. Now for the really exciting part, the so what. What can we actually do with all this knowledge? This is where stem cells are poised to be an absolute game changer for medicine.
I mean, really, what is the ultimate promise here? If we can truly learn to control this incredible natural process of repair and regeneration, what could that mean for human health?
Well, the potential is just massive. We're talking about regenerative medicine, where we could repair tissue damaged by a heart attack or a spinal cord injury. We can also model diseases in a petri dish to watch how they develop from the very beginning. This lets us test new drugs on actual human tissues without ever needing a human test subject. And with cell therapy, the goal is to just straight up replace diseased or damaged cells with healthy new ones.
And this isn't just about abstract science. Michael J. Fox, who has been a huge advocate for this research in his fight against Parkinson's, he put it perfectly. It's not just about biology, it's about ending the suffering of millions.
And look, this isn't some far-off dream. This has been a reality for decades with bone marrow transplants. It's a classic example of stem cell therapy. For a leukemia patient, the first step is intense chemo to wipe out all the cancerous bone marrow. Then, healthy blood-forming stem cells from a donor are infused. And these new, healthy cells just get to work. They copy themselves, they differentiate, and they completely rebuild the patient's entire blood supply from scratch. It's amazing.
But, and there's always a but, this incredible potential doesn't come without some major challenges. The science itself is incredibly complex, and the use of embryonic stem cells has sparked a really intense debate in our society.
And this is where things get really complicated. At the heart of it is the debate over embryonic stem cells. On one side, you have advocates who point to the immense potential to cure horrific diseases. They argue that using embryos from IVF clinics that would otherwise be discarded gives them a chance to save a life. But on the other side, you have people who raise profound moral questions about destroying what they see as a potential human life, arguing we should focus only on alternatives like adult stem cells. It's a debate that's pushed science forward, leading to amazing breakthroughs where scientists can now reprogram adult cells to act like embryonic ones, potentially sidestepping the whole issue.
On top of the ethical debate, there are some major scientific hurdles to clear. Getting a stem cell to choose the exact right career path is unbelievably tricky. If they take a wrong turn, they could be useless or even dangerous. One of the biggest fears is uncontrolled growth. These cells are designed to divide forever, so there's a real risk they could form tumors. And just like with an organ transplant, you have to worry about the patient's immune system rejecting the new cells. These are the massive problems scientists are working on solving right now.
So, here's where we land. We stand at this incredible crossroads. Stem cells have given us a peek into the body's master code, a tool with the potential to repair, to regenerate, and to heal in ways we've only ever dreamed of. The big question that's left for all of us is this. As science continues to unlock that code, how will we as a society choose to write the next chapter?